Okay, so we are here, and you might have got notified about this one. I will explain that for people who come into the chat. So let's talk all sorts. I've got my trusty bottle of water right here. Bear with me. I am just going to check to see if I'm getting audio on the stream. Wow, this is really lagged. So when you stream in 4K, there's like a super delay. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So hopefully some people jump in and we can talk all sorts. We can talk, I don't know, if you want to talk content creation, if you want to talk Bell and Rogers, because I did something interesting when it comes to Rogers. With my cell phone specifically, I was on Bell. I switched to Rogers because they're insistent on raising the cellular prices. Like, they jacked my rate by like $17 a line, and I have 2 lines, and that was enough. So I don't know, if you stick around, maybe I'll discuss how I got a way better deal through Rogers if you're not on Rogers and you're looking to switch. Also, I noticed the reception is, like, at least where I live, is way better on Rogers, which is kind of disturbing. So who's in the chat? I saw Simulator Adventures earlier, just dropping in to say, you really helped me with understanding wireless mics about a year ago. I'm glad. I think it was specifically these things, the DJI Wireless Mic 2. I shouldn't stream. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, so these things are fairly interesting. Let me unpin this message. Yeah. Also, I got the YouTube dashboard working, which is kind of interesting. So, yeah, if you were notified, let me know in the chat. I don't know who's going to be in on this evening, who's going to come and say hi. Or we're going to get a bunch of lurkers again who are going to, come in and just like the stream and then dip. Yeah, there we go. Simulator Adventures is here. There you go. Yeah, I use that mic in my recording sessions, but I don't use it as a wireless, at least at home. Like, when I go out on the road, I do, but I tend to use the DJI Wireless in this weird condenser mic setup that you're listening to right now. I have it kind of wired in. This popped up on my home tab. Good. Okay, so I've done 3 live streams previously. The first one had audio issues. The second one was better. The third one was pretty good, but you know what the problem was? The what's it called, in YouTube's infinite wisdom. So when you upload a video to YouTube, what is it, you ain't seen none. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. So in YouTube's infinite wisdom, when you upload a video, it defaults to unlisted. But fun fact, when you first start, wow, there's no retakes on live. When you start live streaming, it is defaulting to unlisted. So a lot of people were getting the notification way after. But let's get into this one. You ain't seen none. Yeah, the GigaHub 2.0, I've heard horror stories about that modem. And for Simulator Adventures, if you're not familiar, so this channel became relatively popular due to fiber to the home in Canada. And then, like, the channel's called Tech Mixer. So I kind of mix tech and tech adjacent things that I find fairly interesting, which might not be algorithmically correct, but F it. Okay, so Simulator Adventure says, I'm currently moving my streaming to a laptop to offload GPU usage on my gaming PC. Streaming is a nightmare. Okay. Hot take. What's your streaming computer? And what GPU do you have? I'm curious. You ain't seen none. The GigaHub 2.0 couldn't properly handle my camera's upload traffic. When the MVR streamed video remotely, it flooded the upstream connection, causing latency that knocked out my UMA VoIP audio. So this is the discussion that I've had on a few streams, and I'll kind of go over this. UMA is basically like my internet home phone, by the way. If you see me reading comments both ways, it's because originally I couldn't get the stream to load comments correctly in the YouTube dashboard, but now it's working, which is hilarious. So I've got comments everywhere. Okay, so I was going to say the the internet provided equipment, whether it's Bell, Rogers, Telus, if you're in the States, AT&T, you know, I don't know all the providers in the States, but what I am noticing is that ISP equipment, the way that they program the firmware with like their logo and then their rules, as it were, it tends to knock things out, which is why, even though I don't recommend this because I'm not endorsing it, even though I'm doing it, bypassing, which is what I did. And there's a whole 49-minute motion picture on my channel about how I bypassed the Home Hub 4000, and my connection has been amazing. So that's awesome. Let's see. I have a 4070, but I'm CPU bound by browser elements in OBS. It's complex, but it's both GPU and CPU. I play 2 games that are badly CPU optimized, 1-thread games. Okay. Hot take, simulator adventures. Have you considered a Mac Mini? I'm not even joking. And I actually want to do a video about this because I am doing some Apple stuff on the channel. I did one about Apple's like low-cost MacBook. I've done a couple videos on that actually. The reason is because the Apple Silicon has media engines, and it's like people kind of gloss over it, like, oh, the media engines are great for exporting video in Final Cut. For context, I'm shooting in 6K. I'm downscaling that to 4K into this cam link that's right here. I'm going into OBS, and I've got other things hooked up. I'm just going to cut to my other scene. So go to my overhead, right? And then we can go to, before I dox myself, let me minimize this. We will go to my desktop, and we will go to my iPad, okay? Now, if I switch back to main, let me pull OBS down here. I want to show you something. If you look where my cursor is at the moment on the desktop, you will see that my CPU usage is unbelievably low. And the reason is because in my, if you can see it here, this Apple VT-H264 hardware encoder, that is the media engine from Apple. And what's beautiful about the media engine from Apple is that it's like it's its own instruction set that is designed to handle video encoding, and it's not actually part of the processor, which is flippin' dope. I'm getting a lot of comments. I like this. This is a great start. So yeah, let's see. You ain't seen none. I'm going to come back to simulator adventures in just a second. The GigaHub 2.0 couldn't properly handle my camera's upload traffic when the NVR streamed video remotely. It flooded the upstream connection. Okay, I read that. 4070, play 2 games. Switching back to the original GigaHub fixed it immediately. Yeah, this is the thing, is that when they roll these firmware to these different hardware types, like the Home Hub 3000, the 4000, the GigaHub 2.0, the inherent problem is that these are all very different sets of hardware, so they got to sit there and make, they have to sit there and make firmware for each one of these modems. And the problem is that you're going to run into issues like things that are just missed. So that sucks. But hey, getting back on the GigaHub, I guess that's good. I don't want to touch my plan because I have a perpetual discount. I negotiated with them well before I did any videos. And if I switch it, in my experience, all the ISPs, for some stupid reason, attach the discount to the modem hardware. So when you switch modems, like it turns into a nightmare. So I don't want to touch it. My account still says I have a Home Hub 4000, although I feel like it's been over 2 years since I've plugged that thing in, not counting the 49-minute motion picture where I switched out of it just for the demonstration. Okay, let's see here. I recently moved away from Apple, but yes, I did consider a mini PC, a Mac Mini being one I considered. The price point on the Mac Mini is stupid good. The Mac Mini, I'm going to be honest, I was looking at the Ugreen NAS system. Like, I host a personal Plex server for like my mom and like a couple of friends, and I was debating building a NAS, an NAS, network attached storage, for those who aren't familiar with the terminology, and just loading it up with like 30 terabyte Exos drives from Seagate. And I was looking at like the Ugreen or a QNAP or something, and then I thought, well, wait a minute, I want that copy on write or CAL feature that's in Apple's APFS. And I started wondering, like, is there a cost-effective way to build a Mac Mini out with like a 12-bay box and set up like a RAID 6 that's managed by Apple File System? That or just go ZFS and spend a bunch of money. But like when you look at the price of the hardware, it's kind of stupid. So I'm thinking about power efficiency too. That's why the Mac Mini was kind of a contender. But the dope thing about having a Mac Mini is that you could literally use the Apple Media Engine for hardware transcoding for Plex and for OBS and for other things. So, I mean, like a creative NDI setup would do wonders for you. Simulator Adventures. Let's see. I did consider Mac Mini. Ugreen are huge now. You know what? They're sponsoring everybody. I wouldn't have a problem taking a sponsorship with them. The only thing is, my understanding is, I'm gonna mess this up. As a BTRFS is the file system they support, and it doesn't support copy on write, and that would be huge for me. I really want copy on write. If you're not familiar with what copy on write is, let's say you've got like a terabyte hard drive and you have a file that's 400 gigs. That's just an example. And you were to duplicate that file on a drive that doesn't, or on a file system that doesn't use copy on write, it will take forever to copy, first off, and on the same drive. And the second thing is it will use double the space, even though both files are the same. APFS on Apple is a copy on write file system, like ZFS. And if you copy that file, first off, it copies instantaneously. And second, because it's the exact same file, it only keeps one copy of it on the drive. So if you were to duplicate that like 4 times, if you were to do that on a normal file system, you'd be out of space immediately. But with a copy on write system, the 400 gigs the original file is the only space that would be used. The thing is, though, is that if you change one bit of that file, then the second file would take up the additional space. But when you're managing certain media libraries and video and stuff like that, copy on write is huge. So the file system in Ugreen doesn't support it. I think it does, but Ugreen nerfed it for some reason. And I don't want to I wouldn't take a sponsorship from Ugreen to do it because it's something I really need and I wouldn't be able to recommend it because that's such a big feature. King of the Creek says, hello! Big letters. Hello! UNC Nunn says, they let me go back to the original GigaHub. As Bell says, its downgrading is not an option on paper. They let me after an advanced tech support said they couldn't fix it. So they escalated it. Oh my God. I hear stories, so many stories about Bell being super inefficient. It just blows my mind. Like, okay, while we're talking about like Bell and all that stuff, let me talk about my cell phone for a second. I was on Bell Fiber to the Home. I am on Bell Fiber to the Home. I was on Bell Mobility. Now, there's a place I need to go at a minimum twice a week. I've had to go there since 2024. I'm not going to disclose what it is. It's kind of personal. It's not like community service or like anything nefarious. But I have to go there. And when I was there, I noticed that my cellular reception was non-existent with Bell. I would get an SOS. And I was able to get access to their Wi-Fi, so I used their Wi-Fi. But a couple weeks ago, I got my bill from Bell, and they just jacked my rates by $17 a line out of nowhere. They said they removed like a $3 credit, and I'm like, that doesn't equal $17, you morons. And I have 2 lines, so 17 times 2, that adds up substantially. When you look at plans, there are certain plans that are really like in that price range from other providers that will also use Bell's network, looking at Public Mobile and others. So I thought to myself, you know what, it's time. My cell phone, my Bell Mobility didn't affect my discounts with my home internet. So I said, you know what, I'm going, that's it. So I found a deal. If you're in Ontario, you'll enjoy this. I was able to get 175 gigs per line shared, which apparently shareable plans are gone. They're not being offered like publicly, which is super interesting. But you can get 175 gigs a line twice on a multi-line if you do it right for $45 per line, no contract. If it's bring your own device. Here's the catch. There's something you have to do first though. You need to be a CAA member. But when you work that out, you're talking, if I go from, what was it? I was paying $60 a month per line for 155 gigs per line shared. And it went up to 87. Okay. So doing my best roadman check, quick maths. so 87 times 2 is $174, right? But like if you were to go 45 times 2 is 90. So what? 174 minus 90. I'm saving $84 a month by switching. The CAA membership before tax is $121. So at a savings of $84 every month offsets the cost of CAA after just under 2 months. Totally worth switching. So look into that if you're looking to switch. Yeah, that's my fun story. But what I was going to say about the reception is when I went back to that place that I have to go, I forgot about the fact that I switched, and I was like, oh, let me check to see if it works. And on Rogers, I was getting 5G full signal and 210 megabit on 5G, where on Bell, I was getting SOS. But the providers aren't perfect either, because if you were to look at Rogers and Bell in the area that I live, there are places that have towers but no reception because they are not being fixed. And I'm not sure which phone company. You ain't seen nothing? So the plan I switched to, I was on Bell and I switched to Rogers. And the way to get the discount through CAA is to, I can throw a link in the comments. You know what, maybe I'll do that now. One moment, please. Let me see if I can pull this up without breaking everything. Okay, sorry, I'm getting all sorts of notifications. Okay, so CAA discount Rogers portal. Yeah, so it's called Rogers Preferred Program. And let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Hang on, I have it on my phone. Bear with me 1 second while I be unprofessional. Yeah, at least at the time, like a couple of weeks ago when I did the switch, I was able to get that plan in perpetuity, which is pretty sick. Let me pull up these posts here. Bring your own device. There it is. Yes, you can save $25 or more on mobile plans and 10% on internet and TV plans. Let me copy this. Let me see if I can get this to my iPad. All right, I put the link in the chat if you want to check that out. But yeah, when you're saving that much money per month, like getting CAA is hilariously cheap. And then there's other benefits, like you save on some insurance. I think like Swiss LA and Harvey's have some deals with them. It's pretty cool. All right, I see 9 people watching, and I see a total of 3 people commenting. So whoever else is watching, oh, now 8 people watching because I called it out. Comment, come on, let's see what else is going on. I'm curious what people are up to tonight. It's not a long weekend. I'm a little thrown off because I was on a long work assignment and had today off. So today was kind of like my Saturday, if that makes sense. Oh, sorry, today was like my Sunday, if that makes sense. The thought of getting back to work tomorrow is making me tired, which is wonderful. Less people watching. It's awkward. Yeah, I don't know how long I'm going to be on stream, but I just figured I would, touch base, see what's going on, do a rando, kind of talk about the Rogers Bell thing. If anybody wants to talk that or content creation or Apple or whatever, we'll do that. But yeah, I switched. I'm very happy. I also noticed that Wi-Fi calling is substantially better when you're a Rogers customer for mobile. Because the way Wi-Fi calling is set up is not based on your home internet or the Wi-Fi you're connected to. It's based on the carrier that provides your cellular service. And that would make sense because, like, if you call 911 with your carrier through Wi-Fi calling, all of that is established through your carrier. So in my case, Rogers. So being on Bell doesn't make a difference for Wi-Fi calling, but I do notice that Wi-Fi calling is way better on Rogers by like a landslide. So it's incredible. Let's see. I don't know if people are checking out the stream on. There is an option to dual stream and automatically generate a vertically cropped version. Yeah, I'm not going to stream in vertical. F that. Yeah. By the way, if you're looking for that link, let me know if you see it in the comments. If not, I'll throw it in the description. You know what? Better yet, can I pin this? I'm going to pin it. All right, we have pinned it. So that, Euronation, why does Bell still charge for HD video streaming on mobile? Is this legal? I'm still here, but gaming in the background. Nice. So Euronation, I'm not sure how that works. They never charged me because I streamed like Netflix in 4K. I streamed Netflix in 4K when I was in Mexico with my roaming plan. So I'm not sure if that even applies anymore. Maybe that's just why do I always get tired in front of this light? I don't know if that's just old verbiage. It could just be in their fine print and they put that there for legal reasons. Like if you're abusing the system and they can use that as a reason to like terminate your agreement or charge you a bunch of money. You ain't seen nothing. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I hope the link helps. Again, it's a CAA link, right? But again, when you're saving, in my case, $84 a month, that's not an insignificant amount of money. That's some pretty big savings. $121 for the year of CAA is nothing when you're saving $84 a flipping month. That's nuts. Euronation, let me ask you a question. Did you get a notification for this stream, or did you just happen to see that I was live? I'm very curious because YouTube is completely broken. Because I've done a few live streams and I've had people tell me that I've had people tell me that they don't get the notification till like 2 hours after I started streaming. I think I fixed it. Yeah, so I'm just curious if you got a notification. If I'm taking a while to talk, my bad. It's just the because I'm choosing to stream in 4K, there's like a super delay between the chat. No notification, was just on my recommended. Okay, you ain't seen none, got a notification. Okay, so at least there's notifications being sent out, which is nice because and it's on recommended, which means it's browse features. Okay, cool. Very, very cool. There's 11 people in the stream watching me yawn repeatedly. I got way more than enough sleep. Maybe I'm overslept. That's why I'm yawning so much. I'm convinced it's this key light that's like making me tired. Yeah. What else? Oh, I fixed my overhead camera. I don't know if Simulator Adventures is still here, but is gaming, so they're not going to see this. But I fixed my overhead camera so you can actually get a clear view of things like my DJI wireless mic and other things I put on the table. Also, I've got this adapter from Mint House. And where is it? Another company which sent me something a while ago I did a video on was Wavelink. And Wavelink has there's another video coming to the channel from them. This is a 5 gigabit USB-C to Ethernet adapter. And they also sent this over, and this thing is pretty dope. This is I have you on my second screen. Nice, Simulator Adventures, awesome. This is a USB 4 / Thunderbolt 5 NVMe enclosure. This thing is actually awesome compared to some of the other USB enclosures that I've seen. And oh yeah, I made some new stingers. Well, I made that one anyway. Yeah. So simulator, does the overhead camera look good? Because to pull this off, I had to make some deals with Jesus, because Apple is ridiculous when they do software updates and basically broke a bunch of old cameras. So I had to like go into recovery mode and enable like or change a permission for something. But yeah, I've got this USB-C / Thunderbolt 5 enclosure from Wavelink. If this will open. Yeah, there's a big ass thermal pad on it right here. But there's a 4 terabyte NVMe. It's a Samsung, what is it, a 980 Pro, I believe? Gen 4 drive. And I actually want to do like a public service announcement about that, because it seems like the Gen 4, you should not buy Gen 5 NVMEs for Thunderbolt 5 enclosures, because I bought a 9100. Thank y'all. It looks in focus. Beautiful. I bought a 9100 Pro Samsung Gen 5 NVMe on Black Friday and returned it within like 3 days, because it turns out that the bandwidth limitation on the Thunderbolt 5, like on the Wavelink, which should get in focus, and now I should be back in focus. If you've seen the live stream before, you know what I'm referring to. But yeah, it seems like there's no bandwidth difference between using a Gen 4 or Gen 5 NVMe SSD. So don't spend the extra money for a Gen 5, because you will see no difference if you're going to exclusively put that into a enclosure like the Wavelink I just showed. So yeah, I got a video coming on that. I got a video coming on the CalDigit TS5 Plus. I have some thoughts about that. My thing is, lately I've been shitting on Elgato and CalDigit. Here's spoiler alert. That video, you're going to get it in that video, because there's some problems with that dock that nobody's really talking about, which is super, super annoying. Yeah. 11 people watching. Now that I'm calling it out, it should drop to like 4, which is about right. Yeah. Random Monday stream. How long have I been on? It says I've been on for 33 minutes and 55 seconds, even though I feel like it's longer according to OBS itself. How's the stream quality and everything? How does that look to you guys? I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me and I sound okay and everything looks okay, even though my shirt is, or my sweater's completely blown out because I decided to choose a bright sweater to wear. I'm going to mute myself for a moment while I take a quick sip of some water. One moment. Whether or not that muted me, I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, I mentioned it. I had 11 streamers and now it's down to 8. Or 11 watchers, now it's down to 8. That's hilarious. It looks good, but I'm only watching in 1080. Hey, you know, if it looks good in 1080, that means it looks good. So that's great. Euronation, I wanted to ask you, what cell plan are you on? I'm assuming you're on Bell. I've also realized, maybe I'm going to say this a little bit out of turn, in terms of legality when it comes to Bell and Rogers and all of them, and Canadian Telecom in general. But I don't think they care about the legality because nobody's enforcing it. The CRTC isn't doing anything. They are the worst. They're pretty bad. They don't know exactly what's going on in their own realm. What mic are you using? Is it hidden? Yes, it is. It is a Sennheiser MKH416, and it is right up there. Yeah. Sometimes I will use the DJI Wireless Mic that I showed in the overhead right here, right? These things, right? With the receiver and everything. I typically use these when I shoot anything and I'm out and about. That's when I will use the DJI. But I also, like, all my videos are actually, they're using this microphone, but they're being recorded with the DJI because I did a video about the DJI transmitter. And in that video, I demonstrated how I started from that video on using the DJI wireless mics to record my audio coming out of this mic. So I can get 32-bit float. It's like a poor man's Zoom recorder, if you know what that is, if you're familiar with the Zoom recorders that content creators use. It's just a poor man's version of that. But it works. It does the job. Yeah, I actually got to check. I had someone from Discord that was probably going to jump in. I just want to see if they are around. Nope, they're not around. Okay, all good. Yeah, so that's the mic question. But Euro Nation, yeah, let me know which cellular provider you're on. 11 people watching again. You see, it goes back up to 11, and as soon as I say it, it's like people are like, "Oh shit!" and then they just leave because they're like, "I don't want to be called out." That was funny. Any thoughts on foldable phones? I'm having a hard time reconciling the Apple foldable that's rumored. I think foldable phones are dope. I'm getting some interesting questions coming in. Okay, let's talk then. Any thoughts on foldable phones? So we'll start with that. I like the battery life implications of a foldable phone because that just means more battery, longer lasting phone if you're not using the full screen all the time. Yeah, my thing is like there's a silent minority, or sorry, I have it wrong. The silent majority loves large phones. There's a vocal minority that absolutely hates large phones and they want a smaller phone, which is why Apple made the iPhone mini and then like swiftly discontinued it. I don't know. I think the option's cool. Personally, I like the size of, like, I'm a big phone person. You know, everybody laughs at me. Like for example, I've got the 13-inch iPad Pro here, right? Connected through a Wavelink adapter. Yeah, it's a 13-inch iPad, and then I've got an iPhone 16 Pro Max. I like the large phone. I feel like I'm the wrong person to buy whatever Apple's offering is going to be whenever they release the apparently incoming foldable. They look cool though. Like I've got some friends that have folding phones, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty slick. Like to be able to open it, just to have all that real estate for a content viewing is pretty sick. Again, maybe I'm the wrong person, but I feel like using the camera would take some getting used to. And I feel like the first rounds of all of these devices are going to feel a little bit clunky until things get streamlined. Because when we first got smartphones, it was kind of a clunky mess. You know, like when Apple introduced the App Store, I think, what was it, the iPhone 3G? Yeah, it was still kind of a clunky mess, but like it was cool. Let's go to the next question. But yeah, that's my thought on foldable phones. I'll answer Euro Nation first, actually. I was on Bell for the longest time. Rogers offered me a better deal. $65 now with the Pixel Pro Tab. 80 gigs data, roaming in North America. Bell is so stingy with their plans. Yeah. They're stingy with their plans till you leave. If you like, I left Rogers and within 24 hours, Bell called me twice. Then they called me a third time and offered me this crazy win-back offer. But I was like, here's the problem. Like, I'm not getting reception in certain areas because you asshats won't fix towers. So you can offer me the greatest plan in the world, but in some of the most important places I need to be, I can't get reception. Like, no, fix your towers, then we'll talk. Also, is it me or does Rogers just have way better calling quality? Like the sound quality of an audio call for people who still make phone calls. It sounds way better, like objectively better. I want to get to Khalees YouTube. Okay, so do you think there will ever be a time where every vehicle on the road are automated? This is a tough question. If I hadn't seen some of the craziness going on with Tesla and Elon in general, I would have said like in the next 10 years, maybe we'd be closer. I think it's going to be like 20 years, to be honest, but I think it will happen. But unfortunately, people are going to get unalived through that process of trial and error. That's the weird part of dystopian growth that we're in right now, is that like all these companies are pushing AI and trying to push ahead, and yet it's turning into life and death in a lot of ways. Like you're hearing story after story about people who are the victim of some nonsense due to AI just hallucinating, or an over reliance on autonomous vehicles, which is pretty sad. Waj417, do you love me? I'm just not going to answer that. I'm just going to go back to Euronation. What happened to Windows phones? Windows happened to Windows phones. Actually, I want to do something here. All right. Yeah, Windows. I'm saying Windows happened to Windows phones. I think if you want to know what happened to Windows phones, look at the state of Windows 11 right now. Wasn't there an update like last week or this week where it was like, we have broken the taskbar in some senses, and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi aren't working? It's like every week I'm hearing of like Windows just like in-shitifying itself worse and worse. And I feel like Windows Phone was like, we were seeing that more then because they're trying to cram so much stuff into it. So, yeah. Let me continue here. King of the Creek says, I switched to Rogers Wireless from Bell Mobility. I was paying $50 a month per line, 5 lines for 50 gig with USA calling for $50. Now I'm paying $35 with Rogers with 100 gig line non-shared. Yeah, I got shared 175 gigs US, Canada, Mexico 5G, right? Obviously 175 per line shared. So what is that, 350? 350 total, and then works in Mexico, US, Canada, $45 a month using the CAA plan that I linked in the pinned comment. Duke Seb, hey, welcome back. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Duke Seb, to hell with Windows, Mac over Linux over Windows. Don't say that too loud, because you never know, the Linux people might come in and just like storm the chat, and we'll never be free of the tyranny of people flipping out because we made fun of Linux. I like Mac as well, but and I think I said this on another stream, just based on my own personal constitution, I refuse to run macOS Tahoe. I didn't even say it out loud. At one point I had 12 people watching, and I thought to myself, wow, there's 12 people watching, and now it just dropped to 8. So never say it out loud, or never think it. Just don't even look at the views. Don't look at the amount of people viewing. But yeah, so Caliste, regarding the car thing, yeah, I think it's going to be like 20 years before you really see automated roads. Okay, Waj, I timed you up for 60 seconds, and guess what? You are catching a ban because I don't have time for you. So, let's see here. I'm just going to hide you so you don't show up anymore. Mac and Linux are basically the same. Yeah, that's true. If you go into terminal, you're basically in a Linux terminal where you can bash and do all that kind of stuff and run Python scripts and all that stuff. So, because Mac is essentially just the front end. Wow, it was official. I did my first like ban. Watch can probably still comment, but like nobody's gonna see it. So comment all you want. I wonder if I could like ban you outright. And I've already hidden you. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see. Just want to see one thing here quick, if my iPad will let me do this. I want to take a screenshot of that fool, because that is hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, Mac and Linux, essentially the same thing. I looked at the view counter and now it's going to plummet. That's funny. I'm not going to say what number it's at right now. Yeah, so Mac and Linux, they feel the same. I don't know how these companies are like, I gotta be careful what I say because I had a conversation with somebody recently who told me some stuff about a certain company. I'll say this. Some of these bigger companies that we know are running shoestring development teams, which makes me feel a little bit bad when I make offhanded comments about the way that they're being perceived by the public. And I feel bad for those developers, but I feel no sympathy for the company because it's like, well, you're making hand over fist money, but you're putting it all on like 4 people as an example. It's like, well, you're making these developers work hard, but you don't care enough about your developers that are making you all this money to pay for support for those developers. So like, F you, get wrecked, go away. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, Duke, how you doing, by the way? I can't remember who it was. Somebody jumped in recently and gave me an MTU shortcut for Bell Fiber to the Home with the Cloud Gateway, which I actually ended up doing. And I even made it persistent on reboots on my Cloud Gateway Fiber. And now Call of Duty lag has reduced even more in a strange way because of MTU. And that's not because the MTU fixes latency. That's because Xbox is just weird how it works. Yeah, so I don't know if that person is in here watching or not, but big shout out to them. I'm gonna have to go through a live stream and find who that was. Yeah, if not a lot of conversation is gonna happen, I might jump off soon because, you know, is this about AMD driver support? So what's the docket of conversation today? I don't know. I what's on the docket? I have no idea, to be honest. I don't know what you're referring to, Lionsbane, about the AMD driver support. Elaborate. I don't know. And Duke, I just jumped on just to jump on. I had a very, very extremely busy week after Valentine's. So it was like, that was like I had a little bit of time off that day, so I did a stream. And then I haven't had any time to touch YouTube in the last 8 days. So I thought, well, instead of doing a YouTube video, jump on and like, you know, let the all-knowing algorithm know that I'm still alive. However, I did fix, if you weren't here for it, I'm going to show it again because I'm so proud of it. I did fix my overhead camera, so it's like way smoother and cleaner, and I even made another stinger, so when I switch, it's like fancy like that, and with some sound effects, and here I am. I'm back. Yeah, so I've done a couple things. Let's see. Yeah, YouTube is broken. My dashboard is showing me different things than... Okay. I switched this to... It's filtering top messages. I switched it to all messages, and like half of them aren't showing up properly. Okay, let's catch up here. No, Lionsbane, no, that wasn't about AMD. That was about a company. I don't want to disclose what company because I had somebody reach out to me. I'll give you a hint. It was about a video I did in the last 6 months. So like almost all my videos. No. I did a video about a company recently, and not a company. I don't even know how to explain this. But yeah, I found out that a dev team related to that company that works on a lot of things has a shoestring budget, and it made me have even less sympathy for the executives who run that company because they're not offering support. In a company, usually only 10% of the people working are actually good. The rest are just filler. Yeah, that's why, you know, this introduces a whole different conversation about the dystopian hellscape that is like AI taking over. Because on one side of the coin, I could get myself into heat for saying this, but let's go. On one side of the coin, it's really bad that machines are taking jobs. But on the other side of the coin, here's the heat. If you're not accountable to do your job, or at least admit where your shortcomings are, or try to take accountability in being the best you can possibly be at your profession, and then AI comes in and takes your lunch. If you're the majority shareholder of the company, or like the person that has to answer to the shareholders, or to the bottom line, I don't know if I can like. There's a big lacking of accountability in the world. That I think that's the best way I'm going to put that. There are people that feel like they're entitled to everything but deserve literally nothing, and they walk around this planet and waste everybody's resources. And it just seems like, I don't know if I can totally co-sign the idea of AI taking people's jobs, but I can co-sign the idea that if you're not doing your job, or you're purposely being inefficient, that maybe you shouldn't have the job that you have if you're failing at it, if that makes sense. Duke Seb says, I'm just hoping that AI will level out eventually and become a tool rather than a way of life. You and I both, but the problem is that you look like you just from that sentence, it sounds like you have a higher moral compass than most. And most would rather, sit on the couch and do nothing and let AI just like do everything for them, and we're seeing evidence of that. Like, it's sad. Lions Bane, I've encountered this with my robot vacuum Nito. Oh, this comment is starting off amazing. They went under and sold the brand. The buyers promised full software support until 2028, but cut everyone off before Christmas 2025. Yeah, I think Jacob, formerly from LMG, I think it's Jaka, or however the kids pronounce that. He did a video recently on home automation. Like, I'm running Home Assistant on an older computer to automate things like my my lighting for the studio. In fact, here, I can actually show you guys this. I don't think I've shown this on stream. So if I take my phone and I were to call SIRI, I'm not going to do that because people's phones will go off. But if I go like this, done filming, you may notice that my lighting looks like crap now because my ceiling light's turned on. But if I say unboxing,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Unboxing. SIRI for the lose. This is amazing. Unboxing. Thank you. Right?
You're welcome.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I have all that set up on Home Assistant, and it is not reliant on any service. That's using smart plugs and Home Assistant. It doesn't rely on an external service, which is cool. However, the problem is I've also got my Google Nest on there. And that has to run through Home Assistant because it's not compatible with the Mac operating system. Or sorry, with the Mac ecosystem or Apple ecosystem. Short of using the Nest Home app. But the problem with that is that if Google decides they want to kill Nest entirely, at least my generation, like they did previous generations of Nest, they can, and I'll lose the ability to control it with my phone. Yes, SIRI is so awesome. Did anybody... I'm going to ask this, and it's going to be a big, overwhelming no, but did you guys ever see my video on WWDC 2024 when I impersonated Tim Cook? Dance for the people, Sean. Hang on, where is it? I swear I have it here. Oh, I do. I decided to green screen myself onto Apple Campus and practice my best Tim Cook impression. And I put the wig on and the glasses, and I would basically be like, today we have some new products, and now there's wig hair in my eye. And we'll put this stupid thing away. Yeah, in that video, I mentioned that I called SIRI, I'm just going to say it, whatever. I called Siri Sorrow because that's what I feel whenever I have to use it. Yeah. Yeah. Big LOLs Put some F's in the chat for my fail for the lighting demo. But yeah, I actually have that set up by design because, like, as you probably noticed, I think I vaguely remember that. Yeah, I did that video in 2024. I set up the lights like that so I can like get more consistent on YouTube, which has helped. That helped a lot. Lately I've been like, I can jump on and do a live stream impromptu, which is pretty dope. Not forgoing the setup time or the nonsense that happens when I hit live and then everything stops working immediately. But whatever, that's tech for you. But yeah, I have some automation features. Like the one I really like, it's so stupid. It's like, so I DJ'd for a very long time and I would come in at like ungodly hours in the morning and I would pull into the garage and all my lights in the house would be off. But I don't leave my DJ equipment in the car, just as a rule. I haven't DJ'd in a while, but when I would come home and I would bring my DJ equipment in the house because God forbid if somebody stole my car, they'd steal my DJ equipment. So we're not going to do that. It was in the garage, but still, you know, anything could happen. The problem was I would get into the house and the house would be dark and I don't want to leave my lights on. And I could have made a timer, like using some other tools. But what I really liked was I switched everything over to another brand that's HomeKit compatible. And when I leave the house after a certain time, my chandelier at the front door, it turns off once I'm out of the vicinity. And then when I come home, as I'm pulling in the garage, that chandelier will turn on. But it only happens in a certain window of time, like between like a certain hour in the evening and a certain hour in the morning. But like it was cool because then when I would come home, it's like, oh, the lights are on for me. Awesome. And they would just automatically turn on. That kind of stuff I really like. I'm trying to remember how we got on this topic. AI leveling out. Oh, yes, we were talking about the vacuum, the robot vacuum, Nito. That sucks. You know what the good thing is? I say good thing, but like, you could probably find a solution on GitHub because the open source community is amazing. They make all sorts of wonderful things. I just wish that like it was easier for people who aren't techie to find solutions to these broken things. No, I do. Duke Seb, I do live in Home Assistant. I do. It's just the Google, like I'm using Home Assistant forever. That's what I just did SIRI with like a HomeKit automation via Home Assistant. But the Google Nest is the only thing that I really need to find a way, if there's a way. And if there is, I'll be honest, I've been swamped and I haven't looked in a while. I've just been using it. I figure that's one of those things I'm going to investigate once Google inevitably pulls the plug on my generation of Google Nest. Yeah. But yeah, I was saying to... who was it? Lions Bane, yeah. Yeah, it's sad. It's really, really sad that these companies just abandon support. Look at Bose. I don't think Bose... Okay, my own personal bias, Bose is not a great company audio-wise. Like, they make decent stuff, but like, they are what they are. But they did something really cool where, like, you know, they abandoned the product, but they made it open source and just said, here, have at it. Just replace it with an Ecobee. I don't want to replace it. That's, yeah. I'll be honest, like, I like the way the Nest is. I don't want to spend money if I don't have to with something that just works. I feel like there's going to be like a GitHub automation or something's going to end up as a plugin for Home Assistant that will just work with the Nest. They'll find a way. Like, look, as long as that Nest has a MAC address coming off it and can connect to the Wi-Fi in some capacity, I'm not going to replace it. There's no point. Like, I mean, it's perfectly good hardware that's capable of turning my thermostat up and down. I don't want to spend more money if I don't have to. I don't think people should. I think there should be. You know what? We were talking about things in 20 years. What was it? Was it Caliste YouTube? Caliste YT mentioned automated cars. You know what I want in 20 years? Well before 20 years, but in 20 years, I'd love there to be laws that would stop companies from being able to pull that kind of crap. You know, that they would be forced to release the open source code if they decided to end of life a product so that it can still remain in use, because everybody talks about things being more sustainable and all that, but yet nobody seems to care. Kind of sad. Let's see. We're at hour 1 of the stream. I don't know how long we're going to go for tonight. Duke Seb says, I do feel the same about the Roomba. Now that iRobot is bankrupt, I'm hoping they will open MQTT for people to add the Roombas to Home Assistant. Yeah, that's... The problem is like there's 2 ways to go about that. There's like the typical re-engineering of things, like reverse engineering, which is never as good as having the open source code, obviously. Because when you reverse engineer, you're going to run into glitches and you're not going to know everything that's there to... Well, in most cases. But then, you know, the other way is obviously having the source code. Simulator Adventure says, we had a parliament hearing about this in the UK. The government said existing legislation was enough. It's very sad. Yeah. I love when people make... I was talking to a buddy about this last night. This conversation about like how the EU was like... Some people are like... The EU was great. And I'm like, yeah, they were great for forcing Apple to put USB-C on iPhones. But there are some things that have been passed that are overreaches by the EU, which is just... Not just the EU, but governments in general. It's just nonsense, you know. And it's like, you look at the, the ministry, the technology minister in Canada, if I remember correctly. I could have this wrong, but he was a complete joke. Is a complete joke. I don't keep up. But I just find it hilarious, like the way our laws work. So, where I live... Probably, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks away, there's like a local media outlet. I thought Roomba was sold to a Chinese company. Roomba development was already outsourced to China before the bankruptcy. I can't comment either way. Interesting. But I was going to say, so, yeah, about 5, 6 blocks away, there's a news outlet. It's like a smaller news outlet in the township I live in. And they run like a newspaper agency. It's more like an online agency, you know, for those who still know what newspapers are. And the Canadian government, in their infinite wisdom, what was it, Bill C-18, C-20? I got so fed up reading about all this, I just stopped keeping up. Stopped us from sharing their news articles and other news outlets' news articles on social media. So like, I got a buddy in California. Again, I'm in Ontario, right? I can't read their articles if it was shared to me through social media. I can go to their website and read it. It's fine. But I could share that to my buddy in California over an Instagram DM. And he can read it. It's so broken. And if I remember it correctly, it was because... Google tried to charge Australia some kind of a fee for offering news content, and Australia turned around and said, yeah, we're not doing that. And then Canada got bright and said, well, we're not doing that either. And Google said, okay. And Meta and all of them said, oh, okay, you want to play that game? And then they just outright banned the ability to share. Michael Cunningham, we were talking about you last night on the support group, the Gear Acquisition Syndrome support group. Myself and Lead and Iron. So to wrap that piece up, when government overreaches in terms of technology, don't know what to say. It sucks. So Simulator, I hear you. So Michael Cunningham, which I was joking with Josh last night. We were talking briefly on FaceTime, and I was like, would his name be Michelob? Because of the O. Michael O. Cunningham. No. The O, just for those who don't know, Michael Cunningham, just put the O there because Michael Cunningham is a fairly common name and it was taken. So, what up? I just randomly jumped on a live stream, and every time I say, hey, I don't know how long the stream is going to last, the conversation starts. So, hey, I don't know how long the stream is going to last. Let's see what happens. I should really switch this to 1080p and go like super low latency streaming. And I say that because like the gaps in the stream are annoying. I wish YouTube would just like allow low latency streaming with like, you know, 4K. That would be great. Yeah, ultra low latency, I believe, is only on when you're in 1080 or lower, which is kind of brutal. Also, Michael Cunningham, did you get the notification for the stream? Because I found out that in YouTube's complete and infinite wisdom, streams by default are unlisted, which is stupid. So that's why people, well, I think you had just found my channel when you had first jumped on. So if you subbed, I'm wondering if you got a notification. Just happened to stop by and saw your stream was up. Nice. Okay, so interesting. I'm gonna mute again so I can take a sip of water. I don't even know if you guys can hear this. Like if I go like this. That? Did anybody hear what I just said? If you didn't, that means you're not going to hear me take a drink of water. And if you did hear it, you're going to loudly hear me take a drink of water. Yeah. There are so many Michael Cunninghams. I can imagine. It showed up in my recommended. Oh, yeah, he did get it. Okay, cool. So, all right. If you ever, pro tip for anybody who's live streaming, double check your settings that you are actually set to public when you're using OBS, which YouTube makes this way too complicated. Incredibly complicated. Because now, when I set it from, so when I was doing the streams before, pardon me, I would set it to unlisted. Well, it was unlisted and I didn't even know. But the funny part was my stream dashboard. Why is it keeps changing from live chat, like live to top chat? No, stay on live chat. Guard your privacy and abide by our community standards. Can I not get rid of this stupid message? Yeah, if you have it set to unlisted, your dashboard just doesn't work. It doesn't show your stream, it doesn't show your chat or anything. But if you set it to public, suddenly it all populates. It's like the platform is not smart enough to know that I am the creator. So if it's unlisted, I should still be able to see it because I am the creator. So now I've got chat on both. Can I pop this out? Okay. Can I throw this on the teleprompter? That is the real question. You know what would help is if I turned on the teleprompter. Pro tip, turn on the teleprompter before you start the stream. Oh my God. Go to prompter, show me my display, close camera hub. I would like to move you over to Prompter XL. I would also like to full screen you on Prompter XL. I would also like to make the chat massive. Yeah, I got it. What are you using? What are you using the stream hardware wise? I think did I not bring this up before? So I'm using Lumix. We talked about this. I'm using a S5 Mark II into this is the second copy of it that I have, a Atmos Shogun Ultra. And let's go to my newly working overhead, my better working overhead. I got HDMI in coming in here, and then the out is going into this Elgato Camlink 4K into my M3 Max MacBook Pro. And then for my mic, I've got the Sennheiser MKH416. JJ Hunter, you don't have to all caps. I can read the chat now in the prompter, which is great. So we're going to get to that in a moment. Give me one sec. I'm just struggling with my browser being hilariously dumb. Just want to resize my chat in the prompter so I can actually read this correctly. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so I've got the MKH416 going via XLR into a Phantom Power box. And then from the Phantom Power box, I've got XLR being converted via... I have the cable somewhere. XLR is being converted to a 3.5 millimeter into the S5 Mark II, which is getting the HDMI. That's being sent to the camera. And then that's how we're getting audios through the Camlink. Okay, so any news on the new Bell GigaHub bypass? There is no news. It's the same bypass as the original GigaHub. It's the same SFP system. Yeah. Just go on the Discord. They've talked about this. It's literally, I believe it's the same. And you could always go to, what do they call it? You could always go over to the Discord and the wiki to pull up information about that. So that's the answer to that. Yeah. Let's see. What else? Not really much to talk about tonight, to be completely honest. It's just been... I love that. Let's see. Can I pull up chat on... I'm not even going to try this. Okay, we'll just stick to this here. Perfect, thank you. Well, don't take my total word for it. You got to do some research. Like, you can't walk everybody through how to do the bypass. Again, if you go to the wiki that I linked in the 49-minute motion picture of a video, there will be, you know what, here. I'm actually just going to go to it. I want to double check that that information is correct. I don't endorse bypassing. I just think that it works better in a lot of senses. But here, if I go to GigaHub, we'll just Google GigaHub bypass. You know what? Do this. GigaHub bypass wiki. Yeah, so it's right here. It was like the first, I literally, all I typed was GigaHub bypass wiki. Yeah, there's how to bypass it. So again, I would implore that you like double check around on how to do that. Yeah, the Bell Discord is the best place to go. But Duke Seb, I agree with you. However, the one thing I'm finding in the Discord, and I see it a lot, like, because I lurk in there, which is the thing I get mad at people doing on my stream. I'm the hypocrite now. The thing I find is people just don't want to do their own research before they go into the Discord. They want somebody to hold their hand through the whole thing. And I get it that it's a little bit overwhelming. But the directions aren't that bad. Like, look, you verify that you have GPod, right? And then, like, don't get overwhelmed when you start seeing these, like, you know, Python terminal things that you have to run. Just follow it step by step, you know? If I can give them some advice about this right here, this Windows and Mac OS or Linux, like, they should really make these different colors. Like, make these, like, you know, like a bright red or something so you can, like, choose. Because it's not totally obvious when you see it that you're like, hey, I should click on this here, like, you know. But yeah, that's my honest take on the Bell Discord. Is like people go in there and they're like, help me from the very beginning. I haven't even opened it yet. Or even worse, I don't even know if I'm on Bell, but I want to bypass it. I'm exaggerating. There are people that are like, I don't know if I should bypass or not. And it's like, okay, that's fair. And then if you're getting information, that's cool. But when people are like, I haven't bought the transceiver, but I need help bypassing. Well, okay, you clearly want to bypass, so that's cool. But you don't have the transceiver, so what exactly do you want any of the people in there to help you with? I find the Discord hilarious when we direct people there. I think people need to remember that Google is a search engine that doesn't necessarily need to have AI implications, if that makes sense. All right. So the silence is getting a little deafening. All right, I'm ending this in 5 minutes, I think. More because I've actually got some stuff I got to do, and I didn't even think I was going to be on this long. I say this every time I stream. I didn't think I'd be on for as long as I was, but here we are. Thanks for those who jumped in and were watching. That's pretty cool. Simulator Adventures. I feel like you were one of the first to comment, if not the first. If you're still here and you're gaming, then thank you so much for jumping in. That was kind of awesome. Michael Cunningham, I'll reach out to you on Instagram. This last week has been absolutely insane. Like, I haven't talked to Lead and Iron since the last stream when we were on it. We talk all the time, but my last week was just incredibly insane. Yeah. JJ Hunter, yeah, there's no new news. Euronation, what up? Let's see, who else? Duke Seb, always a pleasure. Lionsbane, yeah, good talking to you. Sorry about your luck with the Nito vacuum. That just sucks. That is awful. This is the good thing when you have like a small stream. Like, you can kind of at least try to catch everybody's comments. You ain't seen nothing. Thanks for the comments and questions. Kalist YT, thank you very much. King of the Creek, hello. As always, thanks for the comments. Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably going to jump off actually sooner just because, like I said, I got some stuff I got to do. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that like people are probably getting ready for bed, or if you got kids, getting your kids ready for bed and all that stuff. And this was a very impromptu stream. I guess if you're still watching or listening, let me ask a question, and I'll ask this and then I'll probably make it the last topic before I jump off. What kind of videos do you guys want to see? And before you answer that, let me be very careful before I open that floodgate. If you say Bell, I'm not doing a bunch of Bell content. That's kind of where the line is right now. What about Spec? Oh, God, Mark Harnum's back. No, we will not cover Spec. Here's what I will say, because let's bury myself with every DJ when I say this. I love when people comment on things they know nothing about. I am off today. Yeah. For those who don't know, Mark Harnum is one of my main clients that I contract to. Music videos. Hey, I checked the site. I saw how many were pending and how many you already answered this last week. Did I? Was it the type of videos? I said the type of videos I want to make. I didn't ask what you guys wanted to see. That's not Bell related. Mark Harnum, yeah, so he's busting my balls right now about music videos. Hey, I saw how many were pending. Make me F around and go check the admin on the site and see how many you posted. Welcome back, by the way. He's the reason I haven't been able to post this week. It's all good, though. No, it's all love. Good people. Already answered this. You already answered. Oh, sorry, Duke. See, I'm tired. You already answered this last week. I can't remember. I've had the busiest week ever. Remind me, Duke. Remind me what kind of videos you want to see. I hate the delay because I'm in 4K, so we're just gonna sit here awkwardly and stare at the chat. I have the chat in the prompter. I said more tech and the tech and sarcasm. Yeah, but I mean, like, obviously it's gonna be more tech videos and sarcasm. Come on, of course. One thing I want to start saying in videos is like, if I get a sponsor deal, like if I get a brand deal, I'm just gonna say, instead of trying to be like shy about it, because a lot of content creators are super shy about it. They're like, oh well, just so you know, this video is sponsored by, and yeah, you have to legally disclose that you're being sponsored. But I want to be that guy that's like, you know what? I'm getting paid, and if you click the affiliate link in the description, you are gonna help pay me. so I can Scrooge McDuck my shit off a balcony into a pile of coins. If you're old enough to get that reference, it's great. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to show off a little more of my personality, not just this like formal like talking head YouTube thing. For me, I find my videos are good in terms of editing. I think that that's my big strength. Unfortunately, because I edit all my own videos and I, don't have a staff, it takes me a little bit longer to get stuff up. But I do want to definitely show off more sarcasm. But I'm talking topics. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want to see? Like, I want to cover the Cal Digit. Obviously, there are some videos that are coming no matter what, like the Wavelength one, because they sent this and I haven't gotten around to reviewing it. The hard drive enclosure. And again, I actually used this thing for the last, like, DuckTales. Woo, yep. Please don't copyright strike me, YouTube. Yeah, I used this for the last few videos to edit when I've been out and about. This thing is actually awesome. Not forgetting that I have a MacBook with 8 terabyte storage that is, like, constantly full because I have a lot of stuff I actually need on here, which is sad. I don't know. I also want to do some stuff covering content creation stuff like Final Cut editing tricks and stuff like that, because the thing that I'm using, and I talked about this on a previous stream, but the Stream Deck, I have a very different workflow than most people when I use this thing for editing. And I'm wondering if there's some value to be had in that, if people would get value from it. Yeah, the delay is awful. The delay is, and that's why I was debating. Okay, let's ask this. I don't even know if I can do polls on YouTube right now. Should I stream in 1080 where the delay gets significantly reduced? Or do I keep it in 4K for the quality? Do you guys really care? Let me know. And now I'm going to wait 10 minutes until the delay kicks in and I get an answer. I forgot to mute my mic on that. Got a little bit of water chugging there. I'm going to stare awkwardly at the camera. I have the chat now in the camera because this week it actually worked, which is great. Staring awkwardly into the camera until the delay kicks in and Duke Seb answers. So Mark says 1080, no delay. I was thinking that too. It's streaming, take the 1080. Yeah, I think 1080 would look fine. I feel like most people won't be watching in 4K. 1080p is fine. Calculate. Okay, so yeah, we're going 1080. That's fine. I think if I was like a camera channel, like Gerald Undone or like Camera Conspiracies or like I can't remember the other dude's name, but there's a bunch of them that like they shoot in 4K, they shoot in like 8K, 12K and downsample to 4K for YouTube. But like I don't need to be doing 4K. 1080 is fine. I do 4K for the videos and like that's fine. I have a good workflow for that. It doesn't take me long to get 4K on the channel. So yeah, you know what? Moving forward, we will be doing 1080p streaming so that it's not awkward times waiting on the delay. I feel like I asked Duke a question and now I can't remember. And was it Calculate? Cool name. Yeah, welcome to the channel. I don't think I've seen your name before. Yeah, welcome to the stream. Okay, so next stream 1080. And I think it might be Sunday afternoons with the new setting that notifies. Oh, Mark Harnum, let me ask you, did you get a notification that said I was live, or did you just happen to notice it when you opened YouTube? Because there was a weird setting. YouTube is inherently effing broken. Yeah, I changed one thing, and a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube changed in terms of the back end where I can like see the stream and everything, and it is miles better now. So I'm not sure if you got a notification. And we're going to deal with the delay again. While we deal with the delay, I'm going to start wrapping this up because I got some stuff I got to do. Plus, I got to be up early to get back to my contract job. Got some videos coming. But I want to thank everybody who came in. By the way, I didn't get a notification. I found it while watching something else. So That's interesting. But Duke, I feel like before it might have been you that said that you were like, I'm not getting notifications for this. That's weird. And it was like a while after, like probably 2 hours into my stream. And like, I haven't even been streaming for 2 hours yet. And you saw it today. YouTube did this thing where it unlisted my live stream, like all of them. It just comes up as unlisted, which means it's not being promoted. But today, when I started the stream, I got viewers immediately. So I'm starting to think that it was that one setting. I changed it to public, and now my YouTube dashboard works suddenly. So I think that was the hack. I think I'm going to be doing this on Sunday afternoons. Sunday, like, I don't know, between 1 and 3 Eastern for at least an hour or two. There's no like set time on that. It feels like the most convenient to pull that off. But yeah, I think I've got this live stream set up pretty dope right now where I can just jump in, hit my SIRI smart command, and it just automatically turns on all my lights and my camera and everything, and I'm good to go. Well, it doesn't touch my camera, but you know what I mean. It sets everything up so I can start. So I think I'm just going to do these, at the very least on Sundays, if not randomly through the week, when maybe I'll jump on when there's like a big news topic that's worth talking about in the tech space, just so that I can, try to engage an audience about that. So I don't know. But anyway, I think it's time for me to jump off. Thank you all for watching and commenting. And I got my first super chat last week, which was actually pretty awesome. So I have the gentleman's name written down somewhere, but I wanted to thank them again as well, because that was pretty awesome. So I'm going to get off stream now, but thank you again. It is, what the hell is it? 22nd, 23rd, 23rd of February on a Monday, random stream. My name is Sean, it's been Tech Mixer, and I'm going to try pressing end stream on YouTube and see if I break the internet doing that. So thanks again. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Peace. Your stream will stop immediately and you will no longer be live. Why do you have the button as a big ass red button if it doesn't actually end the stream immediately? Okay, I'm gone. Peace.